Hello everyone and welcome to this video analysis on the 6 human souls in Undertale. This is a video I've wanted to make for a long time, and now that I've started my YouTube channel, I can finally make it. We're going to be analysing all 6 of them, some of them in more depth than others. First, a quick disclaimer. This is not built as a critique of any fan game or other content people are making about the human souls. Really, we have very little information about them, and this video is built to provide my ideas that may fit with the canon, rather than tear down other people's. This is my interpretation of the canon. People do not need to follow it. Enjoy the video. So, I'm going to be covering the topics on could they reset, what evidence there is about the human souls just in the base game. So this is just the raw evidence. Then I'm going to do some basic analysis on the evidence, and then I'm going to present my personal theories about certain events that could have happened with a few of the human souls. Then we'll conclude. So the first question is, could they reset? There's lots of debate on either side, however, I personally think that yes, the humans could definitely reset. First of all, we see Toriel having deja vu in the ruins. She says, "Oh, whenever a human comes down here, I feel like I know them from somewhere. With you, it feels like meeting an old friend." And it's like, sure, you could explain that as Toriel just being crazy, but realistically, it's a reference to the other humans being able to reset. Asgore's knowledge about the anomaly being human, despite it being unspecified. I've seen people claim that maybe Asgore knows about resets because he funded the royal scientists and obviously they tell them, and Sans did an investigation on it. I've seen that claim being made, but how would Asgore or anyone have any clue that the anomaly was a human? Asgore should at least express surprise at the idea that the anomaly is Frisk right in front of him, right? Even Sans seems to think there's only one anomaly. What is this? Why would Asgore have knowledge about resets if the anomaly is totally unspecified? You'd expect him to be surprised at least at the human announcing that they are the anomaly. Every human has determination. There's no red soul determination buff unless we're going into wild speculation based on a couple lines of dialogue at the save points. So, since all humans have determination, they're probably all able to reset. Next, there's file allocation theory by Underlaw. I'll link that in the description. Basically, when Flowey absorbs the 6 human souls, a file called File 8 appears in the game files, and when Flowey reloads and stuff, he uses 6 different files labeled files 1 to 6. So, logically, those files came before file 8 because Flowey came after the 6 humans. Meaning that, no, we don't have Flowey resetting for them. Threshold theory doesn't explain any of this stuff really, and is also incredibly arbitrary. Like, why would Perseverance not have enough determination to reset, but Frisk does, right? We have to establish that most of the 6 humans were infinitely more skilled than Frisk with us and a narrator helping them, for them to reach places like Hotland first try, and obviously all humans were children, Toriel tells us this, right? So, for them to reach places like Hotland first try, like, clearly the Green Soul does, right? Because their items are in Hotland. And all of them make it through the ruins with ease, so unless they could also reset, this doesn't make any sense. So why didn't they escape? Giving up for a variety of reasons, probably. We know that giving up is a viable way for someone with the power to lose their hold on the world. Flowey says as much, and Sans' whole goal is making you give up. Frisk falls at a time when Asgore isn't even willing to try evading attacks and doesn't even come close to using his full 80 attack. Frisk also gets kind of lucky here. Asgore's near the end of his quest and doesn't want to continue. If Frisk ended up facing a fully powered Asgore, we'd have a much tougher time of it. And remember, assuming Narakawa is true, the other humans didn't have a narrator helping them or anything else, right? So it makes perfect sense they didn't make it out. Okay, now on to the evidence. So the evidence for these humans is essentially contained in the ball game, which has all the different flag descriptions, item descriptions and locations of items, soul modes, like what the soul modes do and what occurs in the Omega Flowey fight, right? Patience. The dialogue for the ball game is here, so yeah, you wait still for the opportunity, then to throw ball with a sharp attack. Patience's items are located in the ruins, made of plastic, and if you're cuter, monsters won't hit you as hard. Blue attacks make you stop, and bandages heal you, and knives attack you. Right? Bravery. You are the kind of person who rushes first through all obstacles, is the ball game dialogue. Bravery's items are found in Snowdin with the shopkeeper. The These are the descriptions for the items. Orange attacks make you move, and they uses their gloves to heal and harm in the Omega Flowey fight. Integrity has a description: hopping and twirling your original style pulled you through. Their items are found in Waterfall. Finally, a protective piece of armor, and these used shoes make you feel dangerous. Pyrus also says she saw you wearing a dusty tutu. Blue attacks cause gravity and are used by Pyrus and Sans, and they use ballet shoes to attack and notes to heal. Perseverance has this description: even when you felt trapped, you took notes and achieved the end of ball. The items are found in Gerson's shop, and Purple Soul Mode puts you on strings. They use nice words to heal and mean words to attack. Kindness. Your concern and care for Ball led to a delicious victory. Their items are found in Hotland. These descriptions are mostly about damage, which is strange. The soul mode locks you in place and gives you a shield. Online says, unless you learn to face danger head on, you won't last a second against me. Omega, the Omega Flowey fight has them use fire as an attack and cooked food as a defense. With Justice, your surefire accuracy put an end to the mayhem of Ball. Their items are found in Catty/Bratty's shop. This battle-worn hat makes you want to grow a beard. An antique revolver, it has no ammo. The Soul Mode gives you the ability to fire attacks. It's given by Alphys. And Omega Flowey Fight has them shoot bullets to attack and shoot clovers to heal. Onto the basic analysis of each of the 6 humans. What can we conclude from the evidence we have at hand? Well, these are the general things we're going to be trying to conclude. Where could they have died, their general behavior, and how did the items end up where they ended up? We won't be able to conclude all of these without taking a few more leaps in logic, which we'll do in the theories section for a few of the souls. In the case of Patience, their items are found in the ruins, but they couldn't have died there. As Toriel says, every human that falls down here meets the same fate. They come, they leave, they die. Emphasis on the leave, meaning they left the ruins. Characters don't have to die where their items are found. Of course, they could have discarded them, which is what seems to have happened with Patience. The ribbon appears to have been lost, given that it's at the bottom of a hole, but the knife is in a weirdly obvious spot, right? Like, it's on the middle of a giant balcony overlooking the ruins, so it could have been lost or discarded. As for their death, we've got very little information on that. Given that they couldn't have died in the ruins, there's not really an easy way of explaining it. But we do know they probably spent a long time in the ruins. All of their stuff is there. You'd have to spend a while there for that to make sense. The soul mode associated with them is blue attacks, which make you stay still, which implies that they probably waited around a lot. We also know they probably utilised sneak attacks. You waited still for this opportunity, right, in the wargame dialogue. As for bravery, their items found in the box and Snowdin shop, and honestly, I really don't know what to say about this. Why does the shopkeeper have these when she doesn't recognize you? Like, the shopkeeper's like, wow, if I see a human around here, I'll be sure to give them a pat on the back for freeing everyone, right? So she doesn't know who you are. I mean, no monsters have 5 fingers either. It's really strange. And where did the gloves... How did they get there is really the question. And if anyone has any ideas, I'd like them to comment them in the comments section below. I would really like to know. They probably use violence to rush through things. You're the kind of person who rushes fist first through all obstacles is pretty clear. The soul mode associated with them is orange attacks, which make you move. They may not have actually killed that many monsters though, because they were rushing, first of all. So generally on like the Geno route, you have to like walk around a lot. If you're running through everything, then you're not going to end up actually attacking too many. And they also use their gloves to heal in the Omega Flowey fight. I think this could be possibly be suggesting that they spared people when they surrendered, because they're sparing through fighting, right? Which is an option that's in the game. It just doesn't work on a couple enemies. Integrity likely had a high LV. Their ballet shoes are described as dangerous, and the tutu is described as dusty. While there are some counter arguments to this, for example, the dusty statement being said by Papyrus, and in Japanese matching with how monsters talk about regular dust, it still seems likely because, like, how would Papyrus know? It's just odd when combined with the dangerous term. They also used very targeted attacks in the Omega Flowey fight, right? Like very few of them do that. But Integrity like has a whole barrier up and is constantly attacking you with the ballet shoes. Healing requires them totally removing the attacks and changing the thing they're using to music notes. There's also the idea of the blue soul being like weighed down by guilt for what they've done, right? Because gravity, weight. It was probably out of fear rather than malice, though. I can't run any longer. Somebody, anybody, is unused Echo Flower dialogue you find in the room with the ballet shoes, which would suggest that uh, they were running from something. The room with the ballet shoes is a plausible death location for them. The tutu was likely hid to make them less obvious to the guard. It's located behind a waterfall. It's hidden. There's an echo flower in one of the rooms which says being behind the waterfall is relaxing or whatever. But really, if you're gonna remove if you're gonna like try and make yourself less obvious, you'd remove a big tutu covered in monster dust, right? Yeah. Perseverance likely had a very low LV. They've got low attacks on their weapons. They're known for making notes in their ballgame dialogue. Omega Flowey's attacks are purely made out of words in their phase. They're not those are not generally known for directly ending people IRL, so yeah, I find it likely that they didn't do too much damage. Their items were probably given to Gerson for some reason by someone. It might be historical interest, or it might be that the Perseverance human actually made friends with Gerson. And because these items were probably given to Gerson, it means they could have died practically anywhere. Kindness was probably a pacifist, unless you twist the definition of kindness. This is how it would obviously go. Omega Flowey's attacks are very passive and are literally just them cooking food. And their whole thing is associated with healing with their green attack. Yeah, unless you twist the definition of kindness, they were always going to be a pacifist, right? They were, however, definitely capable of surviving monster attacks. They got all the way to Hotland. We see their items there, and if their I don't see why their items would be put there. So yeah. Um. Also, their soul mode is the face danger head on. So soul mode, which is kind of indicative of an ability to hold your own. Being known for cooking does suggest they made friends. It's kind of hard to cook without time, and that's a lot of time to be recognized as a human. But if you've got friends, you just cook with them and be known for it on the ball game dialogue. They probably either died in Hotland, given their items are found there. There are harsher enemies, and the firebase attacks are in Omega Flowey fight from the pan. Or New Home, because I mean it's in character for them to give up their soul, and I mean I can see them giving away their items to friends or whatever. Justice probably used their weapon. The Omega Flurry attack involves it firing. It has no ammo, implying that the ammo was used, and the Soul Mode is used to fire attacks. They probably discarded their weapon, given Catty's line, "I found a gun in a dumpster." They probably made it all the way to MTT Resort because Bratty and Catty found their stuff in the dumpster, which they list separately from Waterfall. Waterfall also has no dumpsters. If you look down here, this is a picture of Bratty and Catty's shop. There's a dumpster there. So, yeah, it could have just been discarded there. So now we're on to the theories, and the three humans I'll be covering in these are patience, integrity, and perseverance. Maybe I'll make a sequel video if this gets enough attention, where I try and come up with something for the rest of them, or talk about any interesting ideas I've seen. But yeah, these are the ones I'm going to talk about now. So what I'm thinking about patience is the fact that the knife was discarded. But first, you've got to look at something else. The fact that Toriel says, "When humans fall down here, strangely, I often feel like I already know them." Because if you think about it, um, like that can't be from them just loading their file after a death, because major skill issue, right? Like Frisk easily gets through the ruins monsters. You can flee from them in one turn. How would they die? So that has to be from one of the humans pressing the reset button at some point. And that knife is discarded on a ledge in a very obvious spot. So, the knife is discarded. The reset button has been pressed at some point. That suggests to me that they've regretted some action they've taken with the knife, reloaded it, and discarded the knife. And while that might be a stretch, it seems reasonable. And I mean, I'm going to add to this with this statement in the ball game. Then dethroned Ball with a sharp attack. It might be that Patience ended a royal, right? So that's either Toriel or Asgore, and reset because they felt bad about it. And given how strong we've established Asgore is, the only person is Toriel. And that makes sense. They discard their knife in the ruins after resetting because they felt bad about ending Toriel, right? And yeah, so to answer a couple questions, I feel like it's likely that Toriel might try and stop the first human from leaving. She would be unlikely to try it with the later ones because she's more used to it, and then when the last one falls, she tries it again because it's significant, right? Um, but she doesn't remember it, so I suspect that was reset away, and then because of the deja vu, Toriel decided it would end badly if she tried to stop them. Yes. Now on to integrity, a guilty conscience. So we previously mentioned that they have a high LV, and this statement, "I can't run any longer, somebody, anybody." So, who would be chasing a high LV human? Well, it would be the previous captain of the guard, right? Gerson, probably. So there might be an intermittent captain, who knows? But it's probably Gerson when he was younger, right? Now, what's interesting is how did this interaction play out when Gerson caught them? The ballet shoes are positioned weirdly, right? They're in the middle of some grass, and like, how would that happen? How would you lose the ballet shoes in the grass if they died there? And here comes my idea as to an answer, which comes from the idea that Papyrus uses the Blue Soul ability. And while Sans also uses it, and Sans' ideas are about judgment, Papyrus has ideas about redemption. So I suspect it's likely that perhaps Gerson, when he encountered the Integrity Soul, didn't directly fight them, but instead they chose to try and redeem themselves, which I think makes sense. They discard their weapon in the grass and then they try and fix things. Obviously, that was always unlikely. Asgore is strong, and integrity hasn't exactly made many friends, but I still think it's likely that they tried to fix things. Um, persistent morals. This is about perseverance. We previously mentioned their likely low LV, their low attack weapons, their constant usage of words in the Omega Flowey fight, right? And their item showing up in Gerson's shop is strange. So I'm gonna say they're probably a pacifist, um, which seems likely to me. If Because I mean, having a very low LV and Gerson wanting to be friends with them, or even just selling their book, which obviously Gerson has copied it out a lot because you can buy the notebook a lot. You can't buy Justice's weapons a lot from Catty and Bratty. You can just buy it once. So I'm guessing Perseverance was a pacifist, and I'm suggesting that this line here suggests where they died. You took notes and achieved the end of Ball. Now, the end is obviously Asgore, and that makes sense. Asgore could have given Perseverance's items to Gerson after they died. And of course, there's an obvious reason why being a true pacifist doesn't work against Asgore, which is that Asgore breaks the mercy button. Adding to this is the fact Perseverance's soul mode is on strings, right? String-based soul mode, it almost feels like you're stuck on a path, right? You can't deviate from the path, and that could be seen as a metaphor for having strong morals or something like that, or having a moral system which restricts you in some way, right? And of course, this makes sense. That explains why Perseverance even couldn't escape the underground, despite being probably the most determined human. I mean, if humans even vary in determination, but despite being the one who'd probably keep trying the most, they have a system which is limiting them, and so they give up and achieve the end in a way, right? They achieve a alright ending for everyone. So, in conclusion, with patience, we think they likely reloaded after killing Toriel, and utilize sneak attacks and hung around in areas quite often. With bravery, we think they ran through the underground and fought their way through, but spared enemies that surrendered. Although there is the mystery of how their items ended up with this shopkeeper. With integrity, we think that they were violent but tried to redeem themselves after encountering Gerson in Waterfall, right? And we think they discarded their tutu because it was really obvious. With Perseverance, we think that they made it to the end as a pacifist but couldn't get past Asgore, and so Asgore gave their items to Gerson when they died because Perseverance made friends with Gerson. With Kindness, we think that they were a pacifist and probably made a lot of friends because they were able to become famous for cooking despite existing in a hostile underground. And with Justice, we think they utilized their weapon and discarded it at MTT Resort because they were out of ammo. Right? If anyone has any other ideas about the human souls, comment down below. I'd love to hear them. Many thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time, next week. Bye.